To do with the physical heat of the previous test match. Extreme hot conditions. We spent a lot of time in the field. And the thinking is to be fresh. As I said post the previous match, that there's not enough time to find your answers in the nets now. The work has been done before this series, so it's about trusting that. And now for us, it's making sure that we are fresh, as fresh as we can be for the next 5 days. Obviously today was a good practice. Everyone probably took a little bit longer than we would have liked, but that was the nature because there was only 2 nets available for us. So tomorrow, unless someone really wants to come through on their own, the general feeling in the camp that we're going to need to be fresh for the next 5 days after tomorrow. Once again, it will be hot, and because we haven't fielded for that long for a while, especially, to make sure that we are fresh. Yeah. I think that's obvious in saying that every test match you would like to start well, but especially once again, want to make sure that we put a good peg in the ground and even start the test match ahead of India. That would be nice. We're a team that is very resilient, and we come back almost always. We've got a great resilient team, and we've got a lot of character and a lot of fight. But for me, it's more about how we start, trying to get ahead of the match, try and put pressure on India first, so they can try and play catch up for the rest of the series. But that's a lot easier said than done. We're going to make sure we do those things. So hopefully, starting with the toss, I can start that first punch. A lot. Yeah, for me, it's about when you're looking at picking a team, it's about trying to find guys that can win your matches. So that's the conversations that we'll have, myself and Enoch, is to try and find from an 11 point of view which are the guys. On every surface is obviously different, and you try and make sure that you take that in consideration. But try and find out who will be guys that can get us 20 wickets, and who will be guys that can put up their hands to score, to put on good totals. Obviously, we didn't get 20 wickets in the previous match, and that is something that we are aware of, and something that we are trying to fix and trying to make sure that we are better in this test match, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what wins your test matches. So our thinking will be trying to pick players that can influence the game and trying to win matches for the team. Yeah, I think that's a big thing now. That's the Test Championship has changed. In the past, there wasn't that could have happened. Then, if you have even in South Africa, if you had a below average pitch, you probably got a warning. Whereas now you get deducted points. So from a home conditioning point of view, I think it's not as obvious as making wickets like that anymore, like when it was here in 2015. But I know, knowing Indian conditions quite well, that the turf is a little bit more red in terms of that's generally a more spinning conditions. So expecting the ball to spin more than the first test from the straight. But yeah, we'll have to see how the pitch behaves. I mean, I'm not a pitch expert, but it's just that I think it will take a bit more turn than the first test. Definitely, 100%. Those 2 bowlers that you mentioned there are masters in their own conditions. They've proven that for a long period of time. But you have to, as any cricketer, not just bowlers, you have to try and learn from players what they do in their own conditions, and that's obviously what he did. On day 5 there, I picked up that he ran in with a lot of intensity. It felt like he tried to bowl a bit quicker than he did in the first innings, and therefore obviously things happen a little bit quicker off the pitch. I mean, it was a day 5 wicket, so he had that in his favour, but there was a huge intensity about his bowling. So that's one. It's that you're going to bowl short spells in the heat, but when you do bowl, that you bowl with a lot of intensity and make sure you maximise that. And just learning from the lengths that he bowled. He's a guy that hits the stumps a lot, and that's something we, from a bowling point of view, want to make sure that we are better at. I thought in the first innings especially, we were too wide, and therefore they scored quite frequently square of the wicket. So, yeah, there's lots of lessons to learn Spoke to one of our young bowlers and said to him that it's a good learning opportunity for you, is actually just to sit and watch what someone does when they're on top of the game in their own conditions, and just learn from his angles at the crease. How does he reverse the ball? So yeah, there's definitely learning to take from that. Yeah, it's you try and chat and see what he reckons going to, as I said, what's going to be your most aggressive option to try and get wickets. You know, we didn't get 20 wickets in the first test, and for me that's something that I don't want to do again. I want to try and get 20 wickets this test match. So if there's grass on the pitch, then great. I mean, obviously we're used to playing on that, but we're not planning for that. We're planning for a pitch that will be a bit drier and that will spin. And if it doesn't, then so be it. I think it's just about mentally getting ready for what's lying ahead, so you're not surprised by it when the match starts. Yeah, it is complicated. You're right. Obviously, the shorter the Test series, the more points you get. A 2-test match series, you get 120 points for 2 wins, and then you play a 5-test match series, and obviously you have to win 5-0, which is a lot harder than trying to win 2-0. But I've noticed with these things, you'll always find holes and flaws in systems. It's never going to be a perfect system. So for us, it's just about, you know, being the first that's going through this journey now of the Test Championship. I think home games are going to be very important. Obviously, we knew that coming here that, you know, India will always be a tough place to play, but you've got to make sure you get your points at home, especially. And the nice thing about it now is your Test matches where a team has already been 2-0 up or something like that. That third Test match, when in the past you possibly looked at it maybe giving 1 or 2 young guys an opportunity, where now every Test match is important because you're playing for over a 2-year period. So every Test match has a lot of value and weight on every individual game. Yeah, I think when we showed that in the first innings, for me, possibly the difference with us from 2015, you know, is you try and survive on Indian spinning conditions, and with that sometimes you can become too defensive, and you allow the opposition to be on top of you the whole time. Especially I feel that it needs to be a good combination of positive play, an element of taking risks at some stages of the game to try and counter that pressure back onto the bowling. Their record speaks for themselves. You know, especially from a spin bowling point of view, the two of them have done very well in India. So you have to try and put some pressure back on them, because otherwise they just bowl good balls all day long, and then one of those balls will have your name on it. So I thought the way that Dean and Quinton especially, the balance between attack and defence, I think is key when you're playing in the subcontinent. It is very nice coming back here and being comfortable with the surroundings. You know, it does feel like you know a lot what's going on here, but obviously playing a T20 game out there, the pitch is probably a little bit different. Doesn't spin as much when you play T20s here. It's normally a good batting wicket, but it's a nice stadium. I mean, generally I find things in Pune, it's a good city to come to. The hotel is really nice. The temperature is a little bit better. Excuse me. So yeah, we're all guys are all positive and enjoying their time here. But from a personal point of view, yeah, it's nice walking into a dressing room and there's familiarity about it. You almost remember where you sat the last time when you played here. You remembered a few innings that you played here. So it's all positive, and it makes one feel at home.